I see my cat in 7 days.
It's a good job he's left. I've heard that cats carry the coronavirus.
They don't carry the coronavirus.
So the bottom line is, Sam, Tibbles may not have left. He may have succumbed to the virus. That's the reality. Because what they haven't managed to develop yet is breathing apparatus for cats.
What do you mean? No, he hasn't.
They can't fit their little whiskers in. I think he's gone, mate. I really do.
Really?
Gone.
What, as in dead?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well, that's how it all started in the first place. Someone ate a cat.
A bat.
A cat.
It ate a bat. Whoever you're talking about, I don't know his name. The person you're talking about, he didn't eat a cat. He ate a bat.
Who ate a bat?
The guy you're talking about who said ate a cat. The same guy didn't eat a cat. He ate a bat, apparently. I don't know.
I know an awful lot more than you give me credit for.
Sure you did. I'm fine now. Fine. You're just absolute moron.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Global Warning Podcast. It is time for a little fun and excitement on today's show. We've got Jarirai, who is going to be answering some of your email questions on dating. Maybe we're going to get into some food news. I don't know yet. Naked news, and a mortician I have found is offering to turn tattoos into wall hangings for families after a loved one has passed. You don't want to miss that. That is unbelievably exciting. So today is National Eat All You Want Day. Observed annually on May 11th, National Eat All You Want Day sets diets aside for a day of absolute indulgence, you guys. So go out there. It's about having one day of year of eating with no regrets. Go out there and do it. Eat it up. Don't feel guilty. Joining us today, two men from the Two Men In podcast, James and Richard. Thanks for joining Jarirai and myself. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Absolute pleasure. We did a podcast with Richard about 2 years ago with Mr. 213, who's not with us today. So you guys can go back to v3tv.uk and check that out. If you want to go back to the archives, we love to see you there. Tell us about Two Men Podcast, because it's new, it's exciting, and I heard you guys were potentially going to be on Graham Norton. So, yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, well, it all came from a TV pilot called Two Men In. And originally it was actually called One Van, Two Governors, but we decided to change it and call it Two Men in a Van. The basic concept is that you've got these two unlikely characters who are thrust together into a small confined space and who have to try somehow to get on. So you've got a slightly older, I like to say mature, ex-policeman, and then a sort of a slightly naive, young, moon-faced northerner. And the two of them don't really get on. And so they both work in surveillance. They both get shoved into this confined space together, and they have to try to make, they have to try to kind of make it work. But that was the TV pilot. But then, of course, lockdown came along. So what we decided to do was create some small vignettes to introduce the concept and the characters. And that is how we came to be here today, because you saw those vignettes and you said, Richard, those are simply off the scale. I need to know more. Come in and talk about it on the show. So, yeah, Two Men In. It's on YouTube.
Look at that. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say the word vignette until you talk about videos.
I'm going to bring it back.
The other thing I meant to say, Vaughan, is that you may have to put up a series of subtitles along the bottom because obviously James speaks with this sort of kind of weird dialect that what did you just say?
For the American viewers that aren't as exposed as I am. See, I'm cultured now. See.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's called having a bit of character, Richard. You know, having a bit of something different, not blending into the background. A bit of character to not blend into the background, you know. That's what it is, you see. You cannot hear me, so is your mic broken? You're like you're staring at me.
That's all good.
That's a lovely vignette that was, James.
I was watching a program a few nights ago called, I don't know what it was, kids banged up or something, and they were shooting.
I really thought that was going to go in a weird direction there.
It wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be when I turned it on, but I just ended up watching it anyway, even though I was slightly disappointed. But it's basically filmed at a prison in Northern Ireland, and I have no idea what 85% of what they were saying was even what they were saying. I couldn't understand anything. So if I could decipher that, I think we'll be okay with Mr. Dryden over there. So we'll see what happens. So looks like Jiraiya's got a whole nother podcast going on over there.
Sorry, I've just had somebody break into my house, so I'm just trying to discreetly get rid of them. It's slightly awkward. I'm like, don't steal that. Don't take that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to carry on.
Yeah, we'll carry on while you deal with your intruder issue over there in Sunningdale. So how are you guys managing okay? I don't know what's going on in your lives outside of podcast world. I mean, I know Richard and I did some acting together. Have you been able to continue working at all since you've been housebound?
Yeah, I mean, we've both been pretty busy actually. I mean, one of the joys of doing something like the project we're working on is that we've been able to record them on Zoom and have them edited together, and it's all worked very well. But then in between that, James has been doing. Well, I'll let you tell them what you've been doing, because you've been doing audiobooks, haven't you?
Audio stuff. Yeah, we've got like basically just a simple microphone set up in the like a makeshift studio using furniture cushions from outside, which it's perfect sound condition. We haven't got the foam that you've got there, Vaughn, but yeah, it's.
Oh, that's just wallpaper. That's not even real.
Oh, really? Why? It looks so good.
I'm kidding.
3D wallpaper.
I did some of the auditions for my old drama school, so that was interesting. I did manage that remotely, so that was quite fun to do. And like Richard was just nagging me to do this. He's like, I just need something to fulfill me, and give me something to do in the day. So James, please help me. I was like, all right, Richard, calm down.
I was literally begging him. And I've been coaching people as well, because this is the one time that you can actually work with people on a one-to-one basis, and it's still very productive, still works very well. So I've been helping out people in a variety of different subjects. So it's been good. It's been all right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be doing this much longer anyway. So hopefully,
fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Fingers crossed.
Getting back to something a little bit more normal within the next couple of weeks. Jiraiya, you're still working, so she's still maintaining, just doing it from the homestead instead of trekking it into Central every day, which is good.
Why won't they follow me?
Is it really that bad?
I hate it.
Do you?
What is it you're doing? I should know, but I don't.
I don't know. Why should you know?
Because I actually literally know everything.
I know where you live exactly on Google Maps, so I should know what you do.
I surprised James the other day by he didn't believe I knew everything, and then I reminded him of Torquay in 2007 and a young girl called Sylvia. And it all came flooding back like a bag dream, and suddenly he realised I do actually literally know everything.
I need to clarify that this was in a scene that we were doing. This wasn't. There is no Sylvia.
Yeah,
in
it's a scene. Sure. She was in research for a book.
I was 17 in 2007, so I was a young man. So there we go. Yeah, it's fine, even if it was true.
So that was very neatly sidestepped, Jenny. What is it you spend your time doing?
I'm in advertising. A really worthy endeavor. I'm kidding. People who use a particular brand of credit card. It's useless, really. And also they're talking about redundancies. I'm like, just make me redundant already. I hate this job, please.
Do they tune into this, by the way?
I
don't give a shit if they do. I'll be like, consider this my resignation, bitches. So, hey.
That would never happen.
Never. Your podcast.
You have to do something a bit more extreme. I was watching this guy on Good Morning America. I think it was last week. Maybe it was last Tuesday. So it was probably, I think it was last week. And his name's Will Reeve. And he was doing a piece on, I think it was like the insurance companies or something like that. And, not insurance, medications or something like that, and people living in retirement homes in Florida. And he's speaking to he's doing it live. Good Morning America. I don't know if you know, it's kind of like Good Morning Britain, maybe. I'm assuming that's a show, but it sounds like it should be if it isn't. But they do a live morning show, and he's at home quarantining and reporting, and he's talking to the two people that are in the studio. So he's got his blazer and, his collared shirt on, and he sat at a desk or a chair or whatever, similar to this. And then at the end of the interview, I don't know how this happened, but maybe it was because they went to a 2-shot, but they pulled back and they took the lower thirds off where his name was. And you could see him sat there in his underwear, but he still had his blazer on. So if you try something like that, J-Ride, maybe that can get you fired. So if you do something a little bit more risque, you might be able to get yourselves disassociated from your position.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe getting the name of the credit card tattooed on my vagina flaps or something, but whatever.
You just gave Richard a heart attack. Sorry, he didn't realize that this was going to be such a wretched.
I hadn't realized it was going to be that sort of show. I do apologize. Hang on a second. I'm just going to get my agent. Hang on. Hello. It's too late to get me off this.
She is out of control. So this is where we normally would take phone calls for the Love, Lust, and Lunacy segment. We don't have a phone call for Jay Rai today, but we do have an email that was sent into the show, and we wanted to get your opinion on this and some feedback. And guys, feel free to offer your thoughts on this as well. I will go through what was sent, and it says, I met this guy on a Facebook group. We were talking for a few months before meeting up. I live on the West Coast, and he's in New York. He came out to visit, and we clicked immediately. I visited him in New York a few times before the lockdown. A short while after he came out, he lost his job, and he's been struggling financially. I'm trying to be supportive, but I'm used to the type of man that have more to offer financially. So basically, she's got financial standards for her partner. He lied about hanging out with an ex, and that is when I broke up with him. But this is only part of the reason. Every time I try to distance myself, he gets super depressed. Another thing I've been struggling with is that I'm not that attracted to him. He's cute, but not my normal type. He's the sweetest, most loving person, but not sure it's enough. I've been saying no to other dudes, but starting to think I might start seeing other people. Please keep me anonymous. What should I do?
It's a no from me.
It's probably because it's about you. That's probably what it is. Isn't it?
A bit awkward. Didn't think you were going to read it out.
Yeah, Richard, you said you're in Asia, but you meant New York.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
People get mistaken for those two places all the time. So
I know. Easily done. Oh dear. No, it's. We're all shaking our heads. I think she's got to know the answer. The answer is it's never going to happen, is it?
I don't know. What do you think, Jay Rai? This is a woman-to-woman question.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry.
No, it's all right. Please chime in. I'd like to hear what she thinks on it.
Okay. I'm not impressed, really. I'm not impressed.
Is that it?
No. I've got more.
Why are you being so pithy tonight? Are you afraid of Richard and James for some reason?
No, I'm afraid about what I'm going to say to this woman. I mean, I just feel like you've been leading this guy on.
Maybe the sex was really good, and that's why she's kind of contemplating.
I didn't care. I didn't give a shit.
Sticking around.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, but okay, in fact, he lost his job. Okay, I don't know what kind of job he has, but whatever. Things, there's a season for everything. He probably eventually land up on his feet again. So I feel like that's really, I feel like that's kind of superficial. If you're in this for the long term or something, then for me, that's not even criteria right now. I mean, it's more in terms of how that would impress upon his mental health and things. And obviously he's like clearly depressed, but that's a situation you'll eventually get another job, especially if you're, smart, educated, blah, 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 blah. So I feel that's like really superficial criteria, but you've already met him a few times. You're not attracted to him. I just feel like you should have been upfront with this guy far earlier on, if I'm honest. And now he's leaning on you for emotional support that you don't want to give. And when you're looking at other options, it's a no. It's a no. So put this guy out of his misery. Be upfront with him. There we go. Sorry.
I could agree.
No jokes. I'm just being like, you sound like a bit of a bitch. So why don't you resolve it?
I can agree with that up until the bitch part, because she did say I like watching the show. She probably ain't gonna watch now after you just called.
I don't care. Oh no, sorry. Our spectatorship is one less bitch. Oh
no. I can see how something like that might happen. I think maybe if the situation is, I don't know all the details. This is why I hate the emails instead of the phone call, because I can't ask any questions and I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm
very happy to be judgmental.
Yeah, that's why I presented it to you. I took it in. I think the sex was probably good, and they were just like, she just kept him around. He's at a safe enough distance on the other side of the country where she can have some fun and and so on for a couple of days or weeks or whatever out of the month or year. And now it's just getting old. It's just getting old. So that's how I feel anyway. So
what you really mean is you're just getting old, Vaughn. That's what you really mean. Well, you're just getting old.
Well, I've gotten there.
God, how dare you, Richard? How dare you?
Well,
he's got that Brad Pitt, Benjamin Button film syndrome actually going on.
Is he? He's getting younger, is he?
Yeah.
So say every gray hair that grows out of my beard.
You started out really old.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's still got some more stages to go.
Yeah, I have to shave soon. So I was reading.
Sorry.
What's that? Go ahead.
And you're being very confrontational tonight, Richard. You called me moon-faced earlier.
I didn't say anything.
That was actually a term of affection.
Not accepted. You're not my mother. What are you doing?
Yeah, I thought that was just part of the character description that he's reading on the breakdown or something. Maybe.
No, he's just adding that in. He's just being horrible. He's being.
So
it's okay. Richard is deflecting.
My screen.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah. really new original joke again from you there.
He's got a whole book.
Richard is striking out before anybody says something about his rather red complexion.
You had a curry or something. You need to have a glass of water. What's going on?
We have been let him off easy on the Donald Trump tan he's got going on over there. You got a little different kind of sunshine going over there in Esher. I have to come get some of that vitamin D that you're experiencing over there that we're so desperately needing, apparently.
Just stands in front of the light. That's all he does.
Just mirrors and like
open fridge door. The open fridge door. That's all I need in the way of light.
So I was reading in the beginning of the show. I was talking about this mortician that's taking these tattoos, and I thought this was the weirdest shit I had seen in a while. And then I remembered that I actually covered a very similar story years ago on a podcast I used to do called Six Sad Society, and I don't know if it's the same company or not. I think they're based out of Ohio. I don't have it up in front of me, but they're somewhere in the U.S. And what they do is after you've died, they will remove your tattoo and they turn it into wall art. So it's like a multi-month process, and they, depending on how big the tattoo is, and there's no maintenance to it, they just cut it off you and then frame it up and preserve it somehow. And it's a big business. Is this something that anybody would consider doing?
Wow.
Am I the only person who's thinking about the comment that Jenny made earlier about the tattoo she threatened to have? Is it only me who's? It is only me.
I would want that on the wall.
No, I was thinking exactly that.
I would want people to remember me. Actually, a lot of people probably would remember me that way.
The vagina with Amex tattooed on it.
Swipe here.
Oh my God.
I work for a credit card company.
Unbelievable.
No, insert here. There we go.
Now James is turning red.
Yeah.
He's matching Richard's complexion.
That shade of red. No, I'm glad you said that there was no maintenance, because I can't even imagine anything worse. Like, I've just got to clean, got to wipe if it's like a back tattoo, or I've got to wipe it down. It's like you're washing the back, and it's horrible. I can't imagine that. How would you do that? Well, you don't. So that's good. That's a good thing.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, people put a lot of money and time into their tattoos. Some people are really just, covered up with ink, and you want to preserve.
Yeah, because you are, James, aren't you? You're going to show them the dragon you've got on your chest, mate. You're going to.
I mean, it'd be a treat for everyone, but I don't have a dragon tattoo on my chest, unfortunately. I might do, though. Thanks for the idea. It's a lovely idea.
Is it on your back?
Tremendous.
I've got no tattoos. I'm clean. I mean,
is it on your calf?
No, none of your concern.
Is it on your forearm?
I haven't got any tattoos.
It's the whole leg. It's like wrapped around one leg.
Have you got one of them old school tattoos, Richard, that you sometimes see on granddads, like they've just done themselves in like the just blue ink, and it's just like
yeah, it's an anchor. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's an anchor. It says "Mom" over the top.
Never in the Navy, but
no, it was actually, Jenny. I think that I served in the forces. Why are you laughing?
In the kitchen. He served breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What did you do, Richard, in the Navy? What did you do?
I was front line, but I'm not allowed to tell you.
Well, scrubbing the ships.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Where the chief
No respect. No respect. No respect.
Next time I invite you back, I'll be sure that she's
not on it.
She's
Sure, if you want respect, you're gonna make sure I'm not around.
I'll figure that out.
That's hilarious. So the tattoo thing to me, I think it's a bit strange. It's unique, but we are all into different stuff, and whatever makes you happy. I have actually an interview with a woman in about an hour that I found in the Mirror newspaper on the website that has, they did an article on her. She's got these super long fingernails and super long toenails where she can't even wear shoes or anything because her nails are so long. And she quit her job because she's selling so many videos of her feet to these guys that they have foot fetishes and they're really into it. She was like an accountant too, like a specialized accountant or something. So
she must be making a load of money.
Yeah, she's doing all right. So
how much does she charge, Richard?
Again, I think
all I'm thinking about is the fact there are so many germs trapped underneath those nails. That's all I can think about.
This is what I was asking the other day when you brought this up. Like, are they like all brown and yellow, and then she has to paint them over to disguise the discoloration?
I would think they would have to be, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because once
Yeah,
your
because
nails,
it's like dead cells, like after a certain point,
yeah,
it's just like
Yeah.
dying.
that's wild. Well, I'll ask her. You're more than welcome to sit in on the pod with me, which I think you'd probably scare her off, which would be hilarious. Yeah, you're on. So
No, I'm going off to the pub.
you and Boris, right?
Yeah.
Stay alert, though. Stay alert.
Yeah. I'll stay alert. Yeah.
Be careful.
People are doing wild stuff now, man. What are you going to do about it? I saw an article where these women in the States were dressing up as nurses and going to people's houses and stealing their packages off their porch. So why you would be dressed up as a nurse and not as the FedEx driver to steal the package, I don't know, because I've never known for a nurse to do house calls or anything like that, but
Nah.
who knows?
But maybe it's like a sexy nurse outfit, so they're distracted.
No, they're
Not like in Florence Nightingale kind of outfit.
They're regular old scrubs. It's nothing sexy at
Oh.
all. Nothing sexy at all.
But maybe it's that whole wearing such a uniform, wearing like the equivalent of a white coat gives you a certain, I don't know, like a status or whatever. So people are like, okay, I'm not going to question, especially now if it's during the time of Corona. They're like, you probably have a very good reason for confiscating my Amazon package.
Oh, God. Who knows? Who knows? I don't live where certain craziness like that happens, luckily, at least not that I'm aware of. What's next with your guys' podcast? Because are you guys going to be submitting it to TV after we get let out, or are you going to keep it online even if it doesn't get picked up?
Well, the plan is the first few of the vignettes focused on lockdown, and they kind of, if you look at the very first one, it's all about my character and James's character communicating in this medium for the first time. And then we talk about some stuff around where we think the virus came from and all that sort of stuff. But towards the end, we've done 12 in total now. And towards the end, we're starting to introduce some of the bigger issues. So we're starting to talk about the working relationship. We're starting to talk about James and his girlfriend, or lack thereof. We're starting to talk about my background as well as a very senior, top end. Effectively, I'm James Bond, but nobody quite realizes that.
Why did you get such a high station in this podcast?
It's all made up. He's just he's lying for his teeth. First of all,
the thing is, we both get instructions from the boss, and it's James's character Sam's business, and I've just been sort of thrust in as this person who's come to help him out. But what you realise in the fullness of time is that that there's a relationship between me and the boss, and there's a bigger objective to me being there. But my character is great because he talks shit most of the time, but his character can't quite work out which bits of it are true and which bits aren't. So it just makes for some quite fun comedy.
Why does his character struggle with that? Is he a bit of a simple guy, or for lack of a better term, or are you just so intellectually above him that he just can't keep up?
James?
I think Richard's character thinks he's intellectually above myself, and he likes that sort of power that he self-creates. But I think Sam, my character, doesn't think that that's true as much as, Richard's character thinks it's like that. But it's really not. It's really not.
One of the great things is that through the we've also touched on that sort of tragedy side of it as well. So rather than just playing out and out comedy, we're also finding that sort of humour and pain through some really, really poignant, sad setups. And the challenge, of course, is that we're delivering all these in sort of 40 seconds or a minute at the moment. And so we're having to deliver a narrative which twists and turns in a very short space of time and delivers either a punchline or an outcome very quickly. But Yeah, to answer your original question, the idea is that we'll package together a pilot plus the vignettes, plus the background and all the other stuff that's going on, and then hopefully someone will pick it up. But we've already got a producer working for us who's with one of the big production companies, so that's helpful.
That's your foot in the door. Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, if you need any dashingly handsome Idris Elba-looking type gentleman,
funnily enough,
to someone.
Funnily enough, we are looking for the voice of the boss.
I'm the biggest boss that you've seen thus far.
There we go.
Okay, fine. I'll do it.
I'll show you my boss tattoo real quick.
Because the boss character is one of those characters. It's a bit like Charlie's Angels.
I was literally just thinking that. Is he like off screen?
Yeah, exactly that. He's off screen, and he kind of issues these commands and tells people what they're doing next, and he's constantly referred to. And it's a really fun character, and we are that's in we're talking about that at the moment.
Cool, Dr. Claw. I love it. Sounds interesting.
Because don't you do a mean impression of some of those big American stars? Not that you're not a big American star yourself.
Well, I was going to say thanks for that. But, yeah. I do a couple. I do all right. I get the occasional Samuel L. Jackson request, which I won't do here today as I'm under contract right now with a film.
Okay.
Yeah, I do okay. It's actually my first. I've always wanted to work with Tom Hanks. And I got called into the studio to voice something, and it's actually a Tom Hanks film. So I'm revoicing a character in the film who's going to be pissed off when he gets to watch the screening and it's not his voice anymore. but wow. It's a Tom Hanks film. So I didn't get to work with him directly, but kind of working together. So yeah, well, I wish you guys the best with that. It sounds interesting. I know you're a very smart guy, so you should be successful with this. I'm not too sure about James because I don't know him well enough.
Sorry, I thought you were just talking directly to me. I don't think you were including me. Sorry, I thought you were just talking to me. Yeah.
I just still waiting for the subtitles to catch up with what you're saying on my screen. So it's I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just can't understand what you're saying.
Well, I have to say just very quickly, Vaughan. When I showed my daughter the 12 clips that we did, and I know you don't know James's work, but she said she got to the end. I said, "What do you think?" She said, "Yeah, they're very good." She said, "He's a much better actor than you, Daddy."
Oh.
And I said, "What makes you say that?" And she said, "Well, he's just a lot better."
Wow. And you're like, "I'm changing the world."
yeah, that's the end of that. You're straight out.
That's great. That's the first time I've heard that.
I've never actually said that to James because I would. Yeah, I would. Yeah, because I know he'll never ever let me forget.
I mean, we all knew, but when you start saying it out loud is a different way of coping with it. So I'm glad someone's helped you through that.
Have you seen any of them, Vaughan? Have you caught any of them?
I watched the one you sent. You sent me the link to one, and I watched that one, and then it rolled into another one. I think, kind of like a stuff you should watch or similar video type thing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if they were going to all be short format like that, or if it was just because you were just starting them off or something like that. So that's good because it keeps your attention. It keeps your attention doesn't need to be kept for a very long time, which is a very big issue these days. If videos are longer than X amount of minutes, a lot of times I won't even open a video if someone sends me something and it's longer than a couple minutes. If I'm wanting to watch a long form, like an interview or a podcast, I know I'm in for an hour, right? Whereas if someone sends me a video and it says, watch it all the way to the end or wait for it or whatever, and it's 3 minutes long, I'm not watching it. I'm almost certainly not watching it unless I know who sent it and I know what kind of stuff they send and I'm going to be questioned on it later. Otherwise, I'm just like, or if it's, like if you did something and you're like, hey, check out this performance I did of whatever, I probably would watch it. I'd probably be reading something else and listening to it because I'm just rude like that. But I will say that I watched all of it, but generally, no, I don't watch it. So that's cool that you keep them short. Is that how the TV show is going to be? Like short little?
No, the TV the script for the pilot episode is finished, and it's going to be your standard commercial 28 minutes long. So it'll be a full half-hour episode. And that's how it's going to play out. I think it can take that. I think the format can take that, and the characters are well defined enough and sort of contrasting enough to be able to play that out.
So one episode's going to be one complete, like a regular TV show. It's not going to be vignettes. I've been waiting all episode.
Vignettes.
Fucking say vignettes. And
I'm never saying it ever.
Good for you, James. Fight the power, dude. Buck the system. I love it. No, that's cool, man. I wish you guys all the best on that. It sounds like a very interesting concept, and yeah, that's what's up. So we're almost out of time because of the Zoom limitations that I have on my account of a massive 40 minutes on meetings because I don't pay.
I've got a feeling that we may have got an extension, but I'm not sure.
An extension.
Not that has any bearing on anything, but.
Wow. Well, I'm open to topics. I didn't bring a lot today because I really just wanted to talk about your podcast and, throw a little bit of salt and pepper into the mix there. And then you started ripping on your co-host there and called him Moonface and stuff. And I'm waiting for him to strike back with a vengeance. But he's just seemingly such a nice guy. He's just like,
he is.
Because he knows he's the better actor. So
Facts.
he's just quietly confident.
Watch it and see for yourself. I don't want to put thoughts in your head. But
I didn't want to say anything just because I didn't know you, but subsequent to this podcast, I will definitely, be shouting you out and talking to Rich and seeing who's actually taking his acting classes because, they pay you for those, or are they like, it's like a meetup thing, or?
I'm gonna sidestep that, and I'm gonna suggest that James tells you one of his funniest stories about working with it's a big American star. I can't remember who it was. I want to say The Rock. Have you worked with The Rock?
Yeah.
Oh well, there we go.
What was the story?
I can't remember the name. I can't remember the story. I've got no idea. Come on, I'm doing my best here.
There was no. I just did the film a couple of days on it, doing the Hobbs and Shaw film. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you're over at Harry Potter Studios then?
No, we did. It was like at this private airport called Farnborough Airport.
Oh, okay. That's not far from here. Yeah.
It was good fun. Lots of improvisation and having a good laugh. It was good fun.
That's cool. I did a show over the summer, and the set was right next to the Fast and Furious set. So
right.
I was constantly trying to look over there and see if I could see anybody walking around, but to no avail. So,
so he must be the second biggest star you've ever worked with.
I don't even have a line to come back to that. You're just trying to fish. You just you think you're funny. You have to tell a story because you've got a list written down of things to bring up because you've got little quips to say that sound like they're organic, but they're actually You've been rehearsing since 5. You had an early tea, you had an early dinner, and you've been rehearsing for the last 2 hours. Right, I've got the meeting, running and by your missus, going through all the lines, trying to get the punchlines to land, rewording it. And
that was the only reason I brought him onto the show, James, was because I knew that he was king of the pre-scripted witty quips. And
that's so unkind because James knows that my missus has left me. So to say that is just really below the belt.
That's who sent the email in saying that she was from California, probably, right? See, I get off a good one every now and then too, Rich. Just not quite as good as yours. I have to practice up. I have to take your acting class so I can get better at that kind of stuff.
Don't.
Yeah, well, Thursday night.
Don't.
Save yourself a $5. Don't do it.
Absolutely hilarious. So, shout out your social media. Where can people find your guys' podcast?
Well, the best place to go is to go onto YouTube and search Two Men In. Two Men In. And the first clip that will come up will be, you'll see my face and James's face, and the first one coming up will be video conference, I think the first episode is, and then you should be able to find the other ones off the back of that. At the moment there are 12. We've got another 3 coming out this week. One of my favorites is called Tibbles, Tibbles, and that's all about James's cat, which appears to have gone missing. That's one of my favorites. And the other one is about James's girlfriend, who also appears to have gone missing.
I sense a theme here, James.
Yeah.
Are you trying
to... I don't want to ruin it, but they both pitch up at my place. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so it's not taking like a Dexter angle and you start finding bodies popping up in the river or anything like that, or in the backyard. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I'll watch it anyway. But so check those guys out. That's what's happening, and we are out of here. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. You guys, we appreciate it. It's what we need so that we can stay ranked. Leave us some feedback, and check out the Two Men In podcast. It is not pornography, you guys, so don't expect anything salacious. And look at James's face thinking we could take this a whole new route. Yes, you could. I don't know if you want to, but I don't have the producer hookups like James does, or like Richard does for regular TV. But if you do decide to go down that road, I lived in LA for 10 years. I can hook you guys up. So
just got some lights anyway. You can use that light. It's fine.
Yeah. You already got the lighting. You guys are good to go. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you guys next time when we do on the Global Warning Podcast. Peace.